Hello everyone, my name is Nick Hoya and this is my R65. Today we are talking about brakes, front brakes in particular, because my brakes got contaminated and I need to service them. That is way too much light. A little bit better. So the long and short story is that forks are full of oil. There's a drain plug kind of near the brakes, and if that drain plug isn't tight, you're screwed. You get oil on your brake pads, oil on your rotors, and that doesn't make for good stopping. So, simple solution is, well, you replace these, but even simpler is you cook the oil out. You do that with a blowtorch. Now if we get real close to a brake pad, real close, you can see it's very porous in the material here. It's got all kinds of, I don't even know what's in there. You can definitely tell there's some copper in there for moving heat. There's some organic material and probably some hard wearing like silicone carbides and stuff in there. But the point is, all this gets sintered together in an oven at like 9 million degrees or whatever. Gets glued to the back plate here, not glued, but like sintered to the back plate. And what this means is that if you get oil on here, it'll soak inside, and what's inside, usually you'd say you're kind of screwed, but if we work with the properties of the oil, we can actually get it out of there. And let you do that by raising this whole thing above the smoke point. And that means that the oil that's in this sort of sponge-like material basically pushes out, back out again, and evaporates off the top and singes and burns too, which is fine. And since these brake pads are built to withstand hundreds and probably even thousands of degrees, it doesn't hurt it one bit. So these ones I've already cooked because I got started on this earlier and I didn't really feel like filming that part, but I gotta put this back together because I gotta get to the shop and do some other work on it, which means I need brakes. So let's I'm going to put this side on first. I'm going to take the other side off first. I kind of wanted all this stuff out of my tray, so let's put this stuff on first and then I'll show you how to take them off as well. So, step one of any brake job is cleanliness. I have already cleaned this brake pad. I spritzed the caliper with my lovely brake clean here. I use non-chlorinated because it doesn't kill you when it burns. So, you can use this for like welding prep and stuff. Do not use the chlorinated for welding prep. I don't know what chemical it makes, but you really don't want to breathe it. Anyway. Key with any solvent, spray it on, liberal coat, dab it off. If you leave it on there, solvent will evaporate, the grease will stay in. So, spray it on, wipe it off. And probably use like mask or something. Ugh, look at all that stuff. Disgusting. Dab it off. Nice and clean. By the way, the ridges are just from the, can you see that? The rotor is drilled and it wears unevenly and makes ridges, so nothing wrong with it. It's just an aesthetic thing. While we're on the subject of cleaning, if your brake pad retention pins look kind of rusty and grody and everything, hit them with a wire brush and make them look a bit cleaner because, quite frankly, you don't want rust and stuff like your brakes. It's not good. So we got everything cleaned up the caliper, I cleaned up the pads, I cleaned up the little retaining spring thingy, I cleaned up the pins, and I'm ready to assemble. But before we assemble, I want to talk about brake squealing, because brake squealing is annoying and it's preventable, sort of. So a lot of it has to do with pad compound material, how well your brakes are put together and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of it has to do with this stuff right here. If you put your brakes together dry, what happens is as the brake pads rub against the rotor, they will vibrate. And if everything's dry, then everything's gonna kind of be like rigidly like corroded together and everything, which is fine, but that means all those vibrations are going to go through the caliper, they're gonna go into the rest of the bike, and they're gonna squeal like a banshee. If you use a high temperature lubricant, and this stuff's good up to like 3,000 degrees, I don't know if you can read that there, minus 50 to 3000 F, if you use a high quality silicone brake grease, on certain parts of the brake surface, obviously don't put it on the rotor or put it on the pad, front of the pad or anything, you will decouple the squealing from the rest of the brake assembly, the rotor, well, not the rotor, but the caliper and, you know, the fork leg and everything. So you put this in a few key points. This stuff won't move around, it won't get on the front of the pads, assuming you do everything right. And that will hopefully make it squeak less. And these brakes are usually really squeaky, so I'm gonna make sure I use this and hopefully everything will be good. So, it's a wonderful color too. Look at that stuff. Oh yeah, bright orange. And goopy and loopy and wonderful. So, butter up the pads, slide them into the caliper. Now remember, absolutely as soon as you touch this grease, you are no longer permitted to touch the pad side of the pads, the friction material side, because you will get this grease on here and you'll have to heat it up to like 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And at that point, the pads will be toast. You are not cooking this stuff out of the pads. So, a little bit of butter right where the pistons contact, and that's all you need, at least for this section. We're gonna put a little bit more on the pins and stuff, but from here, put these together like a sandwich and slide them into the caliper. Just like that. And line the holes up. And we're gonna grab a pin just dry right now to hold them in place. Slide that in like that, which you probably can't see, but whatever. You slide the pin in through the holes. And then you just set it down because I need to clean my hands a little bit and then butter up this pin. Alright, so we got just a light coat of grease on this pin here. And now we're going to slide this one into the caliper and try not to get everything everywhere. So that's just going to sit there for a little bit. And you're going to wipe off the grease I got on the outside of the caliper, which is fine, it's not going to kill anything. And then we are going to hang on, I need to actually be able to get this out somehow. Put a little pin here. Right. I'm going to pop this one back out here that we put in dry. And then, assuming I can... This is slightly awkward. Got it. I'm going to take the one we put in dry, now we're going to cover this one with grease. And that way, we didn't have any worries about cross-contaminating when we're like trying to hold the brake pads and trying to hold this greasy thing and trying to hold everything else. It's a good way to like accidentally get grease where you don't want it. So I'm going to butter this one up, slide it in just loose, and actually I'm not going to slide it in just loose, I'm going to put the clip in with a little bit of grease on this. Actually, do we need grease on this? Not really. I'll put probably a little bit of grease on this side where it contacts the pads, but since the pins are grease and that's what it runs up against, I'll just count on the grease being here, which is fine. Alright, everything's buttered up. I'm just putting the spring in here. Just kind of need to squish it down. I'm using a 8mm wrench and want to push the spring out of the way while you are pushing the pin through, and yeah, pretty much just goes through. Take a little bit of finagling. This is slightly awkward. Actually, that's about good. Right. So the next step is we get our punches and pop the pins in. So I gotta grab my punches. Be right back. Ta-da! Punches! Yes, I know you don't own punches, and you're never gonna own punches probably. It's not even on your list of like, oh, when I'm rich I'm gonna buy a set of punches. But God, they're useful. It's so much nicer than, you know, trying to dig for like a small screwdriver to whack on, or a piece of rod, or actually, where was that thing? I actually tried to use like a sawed-off Allen key to punch these out before I got smart and realized that there is a tool made for this job. So, I think 3/16 is going to be about the right size to push this in, maybe a bit larger actually. let me see here. This one we're just punching flush. Actually, a 1/4 inch will do just fine. I forgot to get a hammer. Whacking things. Is there any funner part of automotive work? Or motorcycle, I guess, in this case? I think not. Let's whack things. So, assuming everything's relatively lined up, this should hopefully be a fairly simple procedure. And we just want to knock this so that the little snap ring that's around the end of the thingy pops in. Ooh, like that. Bitchin'. So, hopefully you can maybe sort of see this. This one's all the way in, this one isn't. So you just want it flush. You can look at the back side and see it's coming through. I can't really twist it all the way around here for you to see, but trust me, the one side is all the way through. Try not to screw up your brake lines while you're doing this. I can knock the other side in and then we'll come back. Alright, punch did its job, both pins are back in place, and now we want to get ourselves a clean pry bar. This is a nice soft plastic pry bar. It's actually for body work. And we want to pry the brake pads apart so that they will actually fit around the rotor. Because no matter how careful you are, these things are going to squish together and you won't be able to fit it on here. Is that far enough? Kinda, sorta. I'll be able to wiggle it on there. But yeah, you want to wedge these apart here. Make sure they're all the way retracted in the back there. You don't want to use anything too hard because you don't want to like scratch up your cindered pad material. Get it on now? Ha-ha! Perfect. So, I am going to slip that into place. You probably can't really see that very well. Just grab one of the bolts and hold it there. Right. So, don't forget your little cap here, and that goes over top. That keeps the pins from sliding out. And then we will spin on. Oops, I forgot the little insert in that one. Anyways, hang on, I only have one insert. No, that insert's for. Which is that insert for? One of these fell out, I remember. This insert is for this one. There we go. Yes, don't forget the inserts. They're kind of important. And then get your washers on there. There's the washer on the top one. I'll get that in a second. Actually, should there be one more insert? I feel like I'm missing one. Let me look around for that for a second. Be right back. Now, I remember now. The insert goes on the back side. So we have one on there, one on there. You got your bolt. You got your washer. Now we put this together. My bad. I would have noticed eventually, I'm sure. Probably, maybe. Helps to put the washer on the bolt before you get to this step. Whew, it's getting warm in here, man. Let me tell you. Alright, that one's on. Bolt and washer. Put that one on. I could have scraped the rust off of these ones, but yeah, they're just gonna rust again. So, that goes on with an Allen key that I forgot to get. But while we're here, we might as well put the nut and bolt on the brake hose, which goes up through here. And also holds the fender on, which is kind of important. Actually, which side do I want the washer on? Do I want it on that side or the other side? Let me check the other side and make sure. Oh yeah, I guess it's on this side. I probably should have checked that before I started, but whatever. It's fine. But it's also a good reason to only do one side at a time. So that when it comes to stuff like this, you can check the side that you haven't screwed up yet. Wait, nope, that's the wrong way around. I think this is technically a nylock, which probably should be replaced every once in a while, but ain't nobody got time for that. I'm gonna grab my wrenches and my hex bits and snug these babies up. Alright, top one is a 6 mil, bottom ones are 8 mil. Nut on the back is a 13 because why in God's name would they use 13? This is 13. Get them snugged up, elbow tight. You know how it goes. Just make sure they don't fall off. And, you know, don't strip out your lowers, because that would be bad. Now, before we do anything else, reach up, grab the brake, and give it a couple bumps. Because if you don't do that when you remember to, Lord would help you when you hit the road and you're like, ooh, I want to slow down. You're not slowing down. Not until you pump the brakes. But that's feeling nice and firm. Should be pretty good. I think we're ready to open up the other side and show you how to do that. Second verse, same as the first, but in reverse. So, start off, taking the rear fender bolt off. After that, take off the two bolts below, and the caliper will swing free. Love a center stand for giving you confidence when the bike just starts wobbling up and down. Perfect balance. So, see you in a second when these bolts are off. Alright, we got the two bolts off here, this one and this one. Gentle reminder, don't take off the other two bolts, this one and this one, or the two halves of the caliper will fall apart. I almost did that, but I caught myself. So, swings off. Yeah, sort of. Watch your pinky. Anyways, caliper's off. Rest it up there on the cylinder, which is really convenient. I want to thank the BMW engineers for putting them there. Very nice for resting the brake calipers on. And once my finger stops throbbing, we will pull apart the caliper, get the pins out. That's awesome. You'll be happy to know that I've applied first aid to my pinky finger, ran it under a little bit of cool water to keep swelling down. It's fine. First job, pull off the little retainer cover thingamabobber. Just snaps on, snaps off, easy as pie. Don't lose it like I just did. Put it carefully in your little parts organizer. So now we go grab our punches, which are left on the other side of the bike, and we knock the two pins out, which you can kind of see there, I hope. So I'm gonna go over and grab them. Now again, I know you don't own punches, and I am judging you, but I understand. Nobody owns punches, except weirdos like me. Or machinists, I guess they own punches. And hopefully one day I will be one. Maybe. Hobbyist machinist at least. So this part's a little bit awkward because you're holding three things at once, and you're trying not to, you know, punch a hole straight through the actual caliper. Do I want the 5/32 or a smaller one? Well, let's see how this one goes. Yeah, I think this should work. You probably can't see a thing, can you? Let me move the camera a little bit. Alright, probably still won't be able to see a thing. Actually, that's not too bad. So, we are knocking this out, and it takes a little bit of doing, because we got to pop that little springy thing on the end out. Oh, there it goes. Nice. So, we are going to, I want to knock this one clean through, but it's, hang on, move a little bit. Oop. There we go. So, don't let that roll away. Pop it in your little tray. Carefully pull out your punch and make sure that the springma thing doesn't fly and hit you in your eyes. I should be wearing safety glasses, really. And then knock out the other one, which you can figure out what it looks like. Alright, both pins are removed and the brake pads are revealed. And here you can see what they look like before they've been roasted. So, kind of black and ugly, and I don't think these ones have any contamination on them, but I'm going to toast them anyways because I can. And because, you know, I'm just might as well. So I'm going to grab my torch and we'll look at toasting them. Alright, I'm using MAP gas here because quite frankly, it's what I have. I want to hold on to the brake pads carefully. I have a heat-proof mat here to set them down on after I cook them. And basically the idea here is to just get them up to like, I don't know, 600 degrees or something like that. High enough that most lubricants will boil off, but not so high that we like, you know, resinter this or anything. So. Alright, so these ones are looking pretty good. There's nothing boiling out of them. So they're not contaminated with anything, which is good news. Means that I only have to give them a little bit of a cook, and you know, whatever sort of like road grime or whatever is pulled out of there will boil off. Number 2, which looks about the same. Alright, so while the brake pads were cooling, I just went ahead and cleaned everything off with the brake clean, give everything a quick once over to make sure nothing's greasy. So I also hit the pads with a little bit of 120 paper to scuff off any glazing. There's a little bit left on there, but frankly, who cares? These do take a while to cool down. Like, do not try to grab them like 5 minutes later or anything. They will leave a brake pad shaped burn on your hands. These are finally good after about, you know, again, 20-30 minutes. Yeah, they hold their heat really well. Anyways, I'm going to get all this back together. If you don't know how to do that, then quite frankly, I'm not sure what you're doing for the first half of this video. You should probably maybe talk to your doctor about your memory loss. Anyway, go rewind, rewatch that. It goes the exact same way, just mirror image. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.